Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. We've got a review for you today, and this time we're looking at one of the monsters within the index, and it's the Psychophage, which is one of the new models for 10th edition, and you can get that model in the Leviathan box set if you got hold of one of those. And of course we're going to be giving our Planet 40k rating at the end of this video. So let's get into the rear side of the data card. It's 125 points, so not the most expensive model, but it is comparable to other monsters, so it needs to be on par really to be usable. It's got the Psychoclastic Torrent, Talent and Betangled Maw. It is of course a monster as well. Now of course it's got nothing really to compare it to from 9th edition in terms of points and stats and stuff, because it wasn't available in 9th edition, it didn't exist in fact. So we're just going to kick on as if this was a brand new fresh data card. Let's start with the stats. The movement is 8 inches, yeah, not too bad. Toughness is 9, lacking slightly on the toughness in terms of the monster toughnesses anyway. But still, toughness 9 means that most things are still wounding on a 5+ in terms of the standard infantry weapons. Save is a 3+, wounds 10, leadership 8+, and object control is only 3. Quite low there for the object control. So yeah, toughness 9, 10 wounds with a 3 armor save. It's okay, it's okay. We're going to get onto the abilities in a moment, and so it's got a bit more durability, but we're going to come back to that, and let's kick into the actual weaponry that the Psychophage actually carries. So the Psychoclastic Torrent has 2 abilities, which is the Ignores Cover as well as Torrent. So ignoring cover, you don't need to worry about terrain features, and Torrent is an automatically hitting weapon. So it's got a range of only 12 inches, not the furthest range really. Attacks is D6, so a little bit unreliable, you don't know what you're going to get. You might roll a 1, you might roll a 6. This skill doesn't matter because you're automatically hitting. It's a Torrent, Strength 6, -1 AP and 1 damage. So if you do manage to get a fair amount of shots off with this thing, against toughness 3, you're wounded on 2s, toughness 4, 5, you're wounded on 3s, but it's only -1 AP, 1 damage, so really toughness 3 is your target with these. And of course if you're using the Overwatch stratagem, this will come in handy as well because you don't need to roll for 6s, you automatically hit. It's a fairly standard weapon, but it's not that great, to be honest with you, in terms of, you know, the monster weapons. It's not that great. The melee weapon, however, has a few different quirks to it. So first of all, it's the Talent and Betangled Maw. It's got Anti-Psycho 2+ and Devastating Wounds. We'll come back to that in a moment. Attacks, a little bit unreliable again. It's D6 +1, so a minimum of 2, maximum of 7. But again, you don't really know what you're going to roll. Weapon skill 3+, strength 6, -1 AP and 2 damage. Now, it has the Anti-Psycho 2+ keyword, so the strength isn't that important against psychic units. And I say units there because in the rules commentary on page number 7, I believe it is, there's a little snippet and it actually has the perfect example here. So if you go down to the 3rd bullet point, some units contain models that have different keywords. While this is the case, such a unit is considered to have all the keywords of all the models, and so affected by any rule that applies to units with any of those keywords. So what I'm trying to say is if you've got, say, a librarian joining a unit of intercessors as an example, that will be classed as a psycho unit. So an attached unit contains a leader with the psychic keyword. While that leader is part of the unit, the entire unit is considered to have the psychic keyword. So if they're attacked with a weapon with Anti-Psycho 4+ as an example, any unmodified wound rolls of a 4+ will cause a critical wound. So the Psychophage actually has a Anti-Psycho 2+. So if you're going up against that librarian with an intercessor unit, leading that unit, any 2+ to wound will cause a critical wound. And that is important because we've also got devastating wounds. Any critical wound rolls, you just inflict mortal wounds. It's not, they don't get a save, they don't get an invuln save, and they are mortal wounds, so they can therefore spill to the other members of that unit. So if you, say for example, got 3 2+ rolls, that's going to be 6 mortal wounds on the unit. And again, that will split. So if you put 2 on one model, 2 on another model, maybe you're starting to get onto the librarian at that point, but they are going to spill onto the other models in the unit. So it does have its uses, but it's very situational. First of all, you've got to come up against a psychic faction. So you've got your Thousand Sons, Tyranids for example, you've got Grey Knights, you've got Demons, Chaos Demons perhaps, and of course Eldari, they're one of the main psychic factions. Coming up against any of those, that will be good for us. We can use this ability, use this weapon, and it will likely score some damage. But if you're going up against other factions that don't have that much psychic play, Necrons, Corn Demons, or World Eaters perhaps, I mean, even if you do go up against Tyranids, they might not even have Psychers in their list. Same with Eldari, maybe Orcs, they don't need to have psychic people in there. So it's not always going to come into play. Very situational, so unless you know who you're going up against and you know their list, which you shouldn't really do, a little bit situational, that one. But let's move over into the ability side of this data card, and we've got Deadly Demise 1 on an explosion, on a roll of a 6. You cause a mortal wound within everything within 6 inches gets 1 mortal wound. It's minor really. And a 5+ feel no pain save for the model, which is nice for that durability again. Going back to the toughness 9, 3+ armor save, 10 wounds. It's now got a 5+ feel no pain against every single wound that goes through, whether it's mortal wounds, any damage in fact. So 5+ feel no pain save, you're removing 1/3 of the damage, just like that. That's good. If it's within Synapse range, it can use Synapse, which is okay. Leadership is 8+ anyway, not great. And then the 2 unique abilities. So you've got Biostimulus, which is an aura for all Tyranid units within 6 inches to get a 6+ feel no pain save. It would be nice if that was a 5+. I think it should have been a 5+, especially that this is, the fact this is a new model. I think they should have pushed this with giving it a 5+. 6+ isn't as useful. So this is going to be, if you're clumping your units up next to this thing, then yeah, it could be your Gaunts having a 6+ feel no pain save, and monsters of course. Well, anything really that needs it, I suppose. And the other one is Feeding Frenzy. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a unit under starting strength, you add 1 to the hit roll, so you're hitting on a 2+. And if they're below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. That's fairly cool. That's fairly cool, but D6+1 attacks in the first place, you don't know where you're going to go with that. As for some unit synergy, there's not really much. I mean, of course, everything will synergize with that 6+ feel no pain save, but there's a couple of units that you can stack this on top of for other units, if that makes sense. So let's talk about the Venomthropes to begin with their Foul Spores aura. So while a Tyranid unit is within 6 inches, all ranged attacks that are made against your unit is going to give you the benefits of cover, so a +1 to your armor save. And if they're not a monster, then they're going to get the stealth ability, which is going to be a -1 to hit them as well. Now that's not going to apply to the Psychophage because he is a monster, or it is a monster. But if you're stacking this for your standard Gaunts that are around the units, stealth, +1 to the armor save with the cover, as well as a 6+ feel no pain save, it starts to stack, it starts to become layers of defense. And you can further add to that layer of defense with the Zoanthropes, with their Warp Field aura ability, which will be a 6+ invulnerable save. So now, when you start to stack all these up, it does become quite useful for whatever unit you've taken, really. Now, you're not going to be needing one of the stratagems, which is rapid regeneration. You will not need that because it basically gives you a 6+ feel no pain save or a 5+ within Synapse. He has the 5+ feel no pain save naturally, so you don't need to look at that one. But yeah, all the other stratagems don't really relate to him that much. So yeah, we're just going to go straight into the battlefield roll, I guess. And it's not that straightforward because if you're not going up against Psychers, then what is he really doing? What is it really doing? Is it sitting on your home objective, but then you've got your Exocrines, your Tyrannofexes, they're doing that kind of role, your Biovores perhaps, don't really need it there. Is it running up the battlefield into the no man's land because it's got the Flamers, the Overwatch? You can maybe get onto an objective there and be a bit tanky, a bit resilient. That's probably the only real use I can see. It's not going to be it's not going to be that aggressive, it's not going to be at the front lines. You save that for your Carnifexes, you save that for your Horusvex, your Hive Tyrant, your Swarm Lord, those kind of models, that's your front line. This isn't going to be a frontline model. So really, it's trying to get points, but then the objective control kind of lacks with only a 3. I think that stings a little bit. I think that should have been pumped a little bit more, maybe a 5, because that's one of the main uses I would give it. Get it into the no man's land, get it onto an objective, try and take over the objective and be a bit more resilient and hold on to it, I suppose. But yeah, you're not even really doing that. So yeah, this model is kind of struggling. So let's get on to the pros and cons. Starting with the pros, it's hurting Psycho units because of the anti-psych of 2+, as well as devastating wounds. It is quite a nice combination to have. You've then got the torrent for the Overwatch. You're automatically hitting as well, so you're not rolling to hit. And if you're using it in the Overwatch, in the movement phase, in the charge phase, yeah, you're not really needing to roll for those 6s, you're just automatically hitting, which can help a little bit. You've got the 6+ feel no pain save aura, which will help your unit, which will stack alongside maybe Zoanthropes and Venomthropes, and it's fairly durable, toughness 9, 10 wounds, 3+ armor, and a 5+ feel no pain save. As for the cons, it lacks in the damage department. doesn't really do much. First of all, the unreliable amount of attacks, which is in fact my second point. You've got the unreliable amount of attacks, and then even if you do get a good amount of attacks, you're not doing much with Strength 6, really. So really you're fishing out for those anti-Psycho 2+ with the devastating wounds, but that is, of course, which is my third point, only useful against anti-Psycho units. Only useful against Psycho units, in fact. It's got low objective control with only 3, which I think is not that great. And the question really is it really needed? Do you really need to spend 125 points on this thing? There are better models that can do better things in our Tyranid Index. So for me, this one's another low one, unfortunately. We've had a couple in a row now. And I was tempted to go with the 2-star, but I think I'm going to drop it slightly. That object control being low, I think, has swung it for me. The damage dealing isn't that great, and it's very unreliable. And you need Psychos to have this thing to do any effect. So I'm going to go with the Planet 40k rating of 1.5 out of 5. So guys, what do you think about this unit? Has it got a better rating than I've given it? Let me know down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe on your exits. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.